Okay, well, I guess we're going to go ahead and get started. We're at the top of the hour. My name's Todd Davis. I'm actually I say the because I'm the only one, executive recruiting researcher at ServiceNow. And I inserted myself into this webinar so I could have the honor and the privilege of introducing the presenter today, who I've gotten to know over the last, I don't know, 5, 6 months or so. It takes me a while to build trust and community and connections with people, but this individual has actually made it really easy. He's an international man of mystery who's ended up on the mean streets of Seattle, and he is the current founder and CEO of the Talent Foundation. Spent 6+ years at Amazon as a sourcing team lead, and he has a heart for the community and for people. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Adam, and he's going to take you through job search hacks and give back to the community like he's doing on the daily. So love you, sir. You're becoming one of my favorite peoples. So I will let you go from here.
Thank you, and hi all. Todd, you're making me all nervous. Thank you for the kind words. Quickly, just please confirm in the chat that all of you can now hear me and see the shared screen and everything. Okay. Awesome. So yeah, hi all. I'll give just a quick introduction, just so we can win another few minutes, and so people who might be running a little bit late will have time to join and everything. So yeah, my name is Adam Kovacs. I'm a self-taught recruiter, self-taught sourcer, and one of my passions is, well, two things: searching for things and finding things, of course, and sharing that knowledge. And earlier this week, I was thinking what to do, how to help the community, what can the community of recruiters and sourcers do to help everyone. And well, if recruiters are good in one thing, that's search, and search is search, regardless if we are looking for people or if we're looking for jobs, or if we are looking for any sort of information out there. So my idea was that I'll give sourcing knowledge into the hands of the job seekers to help them find jobs to apply to faster. And we're here now. We're here at this webinar. This will be all about searching. And when I say searching, I mean the purely functional online, let's go and find jobs to apply to. Let me just quickly navigate forward. Before we get into anything, I just wanted to introduce the team, introduce my helpers. So please meet your amazing team of volunteers. Clara, Logan, Sue, and Todd. Thank you very much for your help with this and supporting the community. And I also want to give a big shout out to the wider recruiting community. When I reached out to a lot of folks asking for resources to share or to promote this webinar, the community came together despite of, sometimes us competing on the same field for the good cause. We all came together. So big special thanks to the great folks at ERE, at Recruiting Daily, Jonathan Kidder, the Visit Sourcer. So yeah, again, thank you very much for helping me get this out there to everyone. So after this, let's go a little bit into the logistics of this session. It will run for more or less 60 minutes. If you have any questions, please post them into the chat. Your team of volunteers will do their best to go and answer those. But of course, at the end, we'll have like 5 to 10 minutes time for Q&A. If there are any like big topics that come up over and over again, or key questions, we'll do our best to answer those. There are functions in Microsoft Teams webinars, like the chat function, as I mentioned, the raise hand function. If you have any questions, please do so. There is a react function. Please use those buttons if you like something, or if you have any questions. Down the line, there might be some polls coming in. Yeah, please keep it interactive. As I was mentioning, the whole session will be about online search. This session is recorded and it will be sent to you guys if you provided, of course, everyone provided their email address when they registered, and anything mentioned over here will be sent in a handout. And sometime next week, I'll also open source everything over here, and I'll also share publicly. So if there are people who couldn't make it, they will also have the chance to see this. And please bear in mind, this was a session that came together really fast. So if there are any hiccups, let's live with those. Cool. Moving forward, the agenda, the stuff that we will talk about. I'm a firm believer in teaching how to fish instead of giving you the fish. So my goal is to point you to as many useful locations as possible. I'll kind of like scratch the surface on a lot of search techniques and methods that you can use, and where possible, I'll point you to additional learning resources. Search is something that we can talk about for 5 minutes, or, well, honestly, I can talk about it for hours and hours, if not days. So I wanted to have some sort of balance over here. So the topics that we'll cover, you can see it on the screen, but please have this growth mindset and learning mindset that it will be your responsibility to take these and learn more about them, search for them, and yeah, use them to make your job search process better. Before we get into the agenda, I wanted to talk a little bit about mindset, and a couple of things that I wanted to highlight. First and foremost, you're not alone. And unfortunately, if you're affected and impacted, you're not alone by layoffs, right? But you're not alone in your job search either. So in the chat, there are tons of people who might be looking or are interested in helping. So if you'd like to, please use the chat to introduce yourself, drop in your LinkedIn URL, and connect with each other and help each other out, okay? When this will be shared out, I'll also share the chat log. So, if you don't need to quickly, copy the LinkedIn URLs and go and connect. You'll have those later on. But if you'd like to connect with each other, please do so, because the power of community is enormous. I'm just in love with the recruiter community because it's just such a helpful group of people who are raising their hands voluntarily and offering their help. And that sort of communities exist almost everywhere. So whatever your industry is, whatever your domain is, find your community, search for your community, participate actively, and ask for help. Believe me, there will be people who help. Another thing about mindset related to job searching that I wanted to highlight is that you should treat it like a job. What do I mean by that? First, have goals. And I know, of course, the goal is to get a job, but try to get more granular. Like, what does it take to get a job? How many offers do you want to see? How many on-site interviews does it take to get that amount of offers? How many phone interviews? How many recruiter chats? How many job applications do you want to apply to in order to get selected? Do the math on that and work backwards from that, so you know where are you standing in your process. And please track it, because if you don't know where you're going and where are you in that journey, like, you'll get lost. That's one. Two, track it so you know who did you apply to, what sort of jobs do you see over there, who's hiring for those sort of jobs. This is important because you might end up seeing some sort of patterns that might open up some other opportunities for you. Like, you see that, oh, I applied to 10 jobs that are in X location, but all sorts of different companies. Interesting. Let's dig into that location, see what else is there, or what domain, or what company. So track your progress and look for patterns. And lastly, I know it's hard. I know it is a pressure to find a new job, internally and externally as well, but allow yourself to switch off, because if you are exhausted by this job search process and you get, let's say, an interview, you cannot show up and do your best and show your best side if you are exhausted. So, put in as many hours as you want, but please make sure that you also recharge and take care of yourself. Talking about what to apply to, there are all sort of advices. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, around like what sort of jobs to apply to. Apply only if you match X amount of requirements, etc., etc., etc. What I can say about that is, don't be picky, right? Like, don't apply to jobs where you only, I don't know, match the 100% or 95% of the requirements. But at the same time, be realistic, okay? So look at your experience, look at the job, look at the requirements. How many years do they need? How many specific tools knowledge or domains knowledge do they need? So at the same time, be realistic. Do not forget that a lot of companies have all sort of policies in place that, for example, if you do not meet all the basic qualification, they cannot move forward with you. But if you meet all the basic qualifications, from there it's all about preferred qualifications. So more you meet out of those, higher your chance. But if you meet just one of them, give it a chance. Talking about mindset and more about methodology as well. Consistency and persistency. That's the key. Do this every day. Be consistent and be persistent. I know that it is hard. I know that it can get discouraging, but it is a numbers game, unfortunately, right? Like, you will apply to 100 jobs and a fraction of those will get back to you. But it is what it is. That's just the nature of the business. It's not about you. It's not against you. But one way to fight that and tackle that is with consistency and persistency. That's the key to everything. And incremental gains. Have that mindset as well. Every day, just try something new as well. Try something better as well. Try a new tool. If one day you found 10 jobs to apply to, next day have the goal to find 11 or find 10 better ones or 10 different ones. So you don't need to get from A to B like 1 second to the other. As I was saying, consistency, persistency, and incremental gains, those are always the best steps forward. And a lot of people who've seen my previous slides, they know that I like to put in one quote. And this is the one that I chose for this one. So please, what does it say over there? Have that in mind. It will get hard. It will get discouraging, but keep on going. You'll get there. So yeah, let's get into it. I have tons of things to share. I have 60 plus slides. So yeah, let's rock and roll. First, Boolean search basics and or not. What is Boolean search? Hopefully some recruiters who are here in the attendee list and in the chat know some things about Boolean searching, but Boolean searching is the foundation of your ability to search, right? Using Boolean logic is how you gain back control in your search instead of relying on the search engine to guess what you want. How many times did it happen with you that you put in some term into Google and the search results were like, yeah, related, but you were missing that like one thing that you were actually searching for? The way to tackle that is through using Boolean. What is that? I just explained. What are the basic operators? How Boolean works is that you have statements keywords that you're searching for, and you're grouping those keywords together with certain operators. There are a lot of operators. Some operators work in different ways on different platforms, so it's up to you if it doesn't work to troubleshoot it. But I'll show you some specific ones that work across the board. Just one little note around writing Boolean is you should always use capital letters for your operators because that's the correct syntax, and well, that's just how the system works, right? But let's get into some examples so this will make some more sense to everyone. Oh, and of course, one last note. Do not write your search strings in Microsoft Word or Google Docs. It's just about formatting and how some characters work when you're using those tools. If you just copy paste that into some search engines, it will just won't work, or the syntax won't be correct. So use a Notepad or anything like that. The most simplest note-taking application that you have. But let's see some examples of actual search operators. So first, the and one, right? Most search engines interpret the space as an and. So if you search keyword and you put another keyword just separated by space, what you're telling to the search engine is keyword one and keyword B. I want to see results where both keywords are present. Use it to define specifics that you're looking for. But bear in mind, more keywords you put in like this and more keywords you connect together, that will limit your search results. It will become more specific to some extent, some more false positives as well. We'll talk about that in a second. But more you put in, of course, lower the amount of results. Here is an example at the bottom: job and marketing and senior. If you run this search, you're telling the search engine to give me results of pages that contain the word job, the word marketing, and the word senior. The next very similar but different operator is the or, where you are telling the search engine that at least one of the keywords that you're using is needed. But how that's interpreted is that it can be anything between at least one and all of them. There isn't any fine line in between there. So you can use this, for example, synonyms or alternatives or different technologies, and it will broaden your results. Here is an example at the bottom. Let's say you are an engineer and looking for engineering jobs. Well, those can have very, very different titles, right? So you can look for keywords such as developer or programmer or engineer. And if you type this into a search engine, could that be like LinkedIn or Google, it will give you results that contain either one or two or three of those keywords over there. But when you start to do this sort of things, mixing together and or keywords, you will end up using some words that connect to each other, but you want them to be together as a phrase, right? Like, let's say you are a software engineer and you want to look for that specific term, not software and engineer. You want specifically software engineer. Well, in that case, you will need to use the quotation mark, as you can see in the example below. And a lot of times, when you start to put together different terms like this, you'll end up in a place where you have a lot of false positives, right? Like results that, well, yes, they're on the page, but not exactly how you wanted them. That's where the not operator comes in. Some search engines, by the way, interpret the sign, the minus sign, as a not operator, and that's what you can use to exclude the unwanted terms. And this will narrow down your search. See the example below, but they're like marketing manager, the exact term, not social media, because let's say you are a marketing manager who deals with printed media and doesn't want to do social media or doesn't have experience. So you want to rule out those results. I'll just show you the last two operators over here. I already mentioned the quotation. That is for exact match and phrases. I mentioned to you that you shouldn't use Microsoft Word or Google Docs to write your search strings. There is why. Let me just put in a laser pointer. You see this little characters over here, they are not the same. They are quotation marks, but they are not the same. If you just hit the quotation mark key on your keyboard, depending if it's on Microsoft Word or Google Docs or some like plain text editor, it will give you the curly or the non-curly version. Use the non-curly version because, well, that's the version that works more broadly. And the last operator that I wanted to mention is the good old brackets. You use brackets to define order of operation, right? Or if you want to group together different keywords. Mostly it's used when you want to group together different or keywords. For example, see over here, Seattle or Portland or remote. And you want to group, for example, the location keywords together, you just put it into brackets. Let's see how does that look in action. The first example over here, you see, let me just put back in the laser pointer. Here is a bracketed term. You use an and, you group together different technologies. Because C++, it's a special character in there. I like to put special characters within brackets so the search engine knows that I'm looking for that specific term. Full-time or contract, not intern or trainee. And similar examples go on and on and on with like marketing specialists and data analysts. You see the pattern, you see how it works, and you take these sort of searches and you can copy paste them into search fields that support Boolean logic. Google does support Boolean logic, LinkedIn does support Boolean logic, and the major job boards also support Boolean logic. There might be some differences in the nuances, but these sort of searches will work in the majority of the search engines. The differences will come in the limitations. Two big major limitations that you need to be aware of is one, it's on LinkedIn. Any given LinkedIn search field, if I know it correctly, I think it still has a limitation of 1,000 characters. Any search experts in the chat, please keep me honest on that. And Google has a limitation of 32 keywords. And unfortunately, Google counts operators as keywords as well. So a lot of times on Google, you need to run different searches over and over and over again, just with like different keywords because you run into a limitation. Here are another few examples over here for like sales representatives, project manager, financial analyst. I'll keep on using these examples when we get into some specific searches over here. And you don't need to remember all this. I'll have an additional resources slide at the end that has training materials that you can go through to learn all these and see different examples and experiment with some different approaches to searching. So let's get into action. Where should you search? Well, LinkedIn, of course. That's the place that comes into the mind of everyone, right? So what can you do to expand your job pool on LinkedIn? Short answer, good old Boolean. Longer answer, where do you run it makes a big difference, and how do you run it also. So in the next couple of slides, I'll show you a couple of different ways to approaching job searching on LinkedIn. So first and foremost, pretty please use filters. LinkedIn has tons of filters. Some of them are hidden behind an all filters button, but please try them out. Experiment with all of them. See what sort of different results you get. When you go on a search on LinkedIn, you can see there on the top that there is like an all filters button, and that brings up a lot of interesting things, right? Like for example, sort by. I always like to put it to most recent as well. Why? What is most relevant, right? Like relevancy is determined by an algorithm and not necessarily your needs. So you can be very specific about your needs using Boolean logic, and after that, just sort by most recent results. You can also narrow it down to things posted in the past couple of weeks or hours, months, etc. You can use filters such as experience level, or what sort of industry is that job posted in, or what sort of job function is that. Talking about experience level, that is the experience level over here as LinkedIn defines it, and as the job posters define that experience level for that specific job. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's your experience level. Here is what I mean by that. A senior employee, let's say a senior software engineer, means a very, very different thing at company A and at company B. A principal product manager's responsibilities at one company can be the same as a entry-level product manager's responsibilities at a different company. So again, don't be picky, but be realistic. I'm not saying that search for director and executive roles, but just because, for example, you don't feel that you are in like the senior or mid-senior level, like just scroll through those jobs as well, see what are the requirements. At the end of the day, the requirements are the things that matter. What other filters are over here? Titles, of course, job functions. Here's an interesting one, under 10 applicants. You could be maybe one of the first few applicants over there. In your network, this is really, really, really important. Why? If you find a job at a place where someone you know works at, you just got a connection over there that you could use. You can reach out to that person and ask for a referral. You can reach out to that person and just, ask how's life at that company, how they're treating employees, all those things. You can also search for salaries as well. With salary transparency laws coming in, more and more and more and more jobs will have this posted, so you can also search for that, and also benefits. But bear in mind that not all the things that you can filter for will be listed on all jobs. So play around with different filters, see the different results, okay? Next, as I was saying, throw some good old Boolean at it, right? Like there is a keyword search at the top. You can use, here is one. This is a title. I use technical recruiter and I'm looking for keywords of cloud or IoT. Let's imagine that I'm a tech recruiter that has a background in looking for cloud engineers and hardware engineers. Or using the or operator, as I was mentioning, it's a good way to broaden your search because you can use different synonyms. Here is one where I'm just putting in different variations of the same title, just phrased up differently. Looking at the results, you'll see that it will give you different amount of results. And one last thing that I wanted to tell you over here is remote jobs. When you're looking for remote jobs, have this approach of thinking locally, and by local I mean like maybe the country or the state that you're in, but search globally. How you can do that is that you can run searches for remote jobs in different locations, and I'll show you the examples in a moment. So here are two examples: product manager, title, location, remote, but location number two, like the core location is in the United States. You have almost 4,000 results. I put in the same search. I only changed one thing, and that's that I changed the core location to Canada. I have 284 results. And here is one. Look at this. It is listed in Canada. So when you run this search for remote jobs in the US, this won't come up. But if you run this search, remote jobs in Canada, see what's here. Locations, remote, San Francisco, Charlotte, time zones. So when I'm saying have this approach of think local, search global, this is what I mean. You can also go very, very, very broad, right? Like the location over here is North America. LinkedIn does support that, right? Like you can put in different even acronyms like EMEA or LATAM and stuff like that, or NAMR. So play around with those as well. You'll find different results. Okay. Hopefully everyone is still on track, still following. We're going fast. Next little LinkedIn trick over here, how to search for hiring managers and how to search for recruiters, right? a lot of times people just don't know what to search for. Well, you can always start a search that is blank, and after that you can use the different filters. And the different filters, one of them is the title one, right? So you can go in and search for different titles, like the recruiter at a certain company, right? Or who's the hiring manager? Well, just what was the title of your boss, your last boss? Or what is the title of the role that leads the job that you get hired into, right? Like, is it called software engineering manager? Like, cool. Those could be hiring managers. You can find these people and you can reach out to them using filters. And there are a lot of other filters that you can search when you are searching, you can use when you're searching for people, such as talks about. Those are the hashtags that are mentioned on a person's LinkedIn profile. Like if, for example, someone has the title of software engineering manager, and also has the hashtag on their profile of talks about, and let's say the hashtag is talks about hiring, well, you have a good chance that that person might either have a role or knows people who have roles. Second level connection, same thing as with jobs with people, right? Like you can search specifically for people who are second degree connections to you. What does that mean? You know someone who knows them. So if you find a person who is, let's say, looking as a hiring manager, looking as a recruiter at a company where you've seen a job, or you applied to a job already and you just want to reach out to a recruiter over there, but you don't know how to get to them, you can search specifically for a recruiter at that company who's a second level connection, see who's that, and ask for an introduction or a referral. There are filters such as like followers of, and of course I mentioned the title, but I'm showing you the exact example over here, right? Like different connections. And this is under all filters. Here is the talks about. Here are the different keywords. Talking about keywords, any search field on LinkedIn that is a keyword search field supports Boolean logic. So over here, you have 1,000 characters. Bear that in mind. You can get very, very, very creative. Um, Lastly, about LinkedIn is that you can search for almost everything on the LinkedIn platform, and you can even go externally and use like Google to search LinkedIn. And in that case, you can actually search for almost anything. But one of the powerful tools over here is searching for posts. A lot of times when people are hiring, they're posting about it, right? Like, hey, I have an open job, or hey, I found, here is the list of job boards or tools or open roles. You can search for those posts. You just need to go under the post search. So when you run a blank search, there's the little post option over there. Click that. And you can use keywords such as I'm hiring, or I have a job opening together with maybe a title, or you can search for the hashtag hiring. Maybe they put it into their post and a title, and you get examples like this, right? Like get creative, use the relevant titles in your industry and for your role, use the relevant keywords as well, and you can run into posts that are fresh, because don't forget filters. You can search for recently posted posts, or the ones that are coming from people that you follow and all those things. So that will become a connection point to you, right? You're not like reaching out to someone and, hey, I'm wondering if you're hiring. You're like, hey, I seen your post. I really liked it. This is how A, B, C, and D points, how I'm good for that job, or how I have the experience. Can we talk about it? Can you share more? Where can I apply? You have a connection point over there. It's almost like a semi-warm introduction that you can leverage. Here are another couple of filters. Like if you're looking for posts coming from people in a certain company or a certain industry, you can do that as well. You can get very, very specific and very creative with your searches and do that. Cool. Those were the LinkedIn tricks. Let's move on. I hear this thing that the hidden jobs, the hidden job boards, the hidden job market. How should I say that? That's not existing. Well, to some extent, it is existing, but it's not something that you should care about. hidden jobs do not exist at scale. And when I say hidden jobs, it's like hidden jobs that are actually relevant for you. Because why can a job be like hidden? Maybe they already have someone in mind for that job, so they're not posting it. They're just waiting for the person's availability. What does that mean for you? Well, nothing. You have no chance for that job. Like, you shouldn't care about it. And another option for why jobs can be hidden is that they're just confidential. And if they're confidential, again, if it's relevant to you, if it's in your industry, if it's in your network, you will know about it. If not, then just move on. Like the ROI, the return of investment of chasing those jobs from a time wise is just not good. But of course, not every job is advertised on LinkedIn. I even dare to say that just a very, very, very small fraction of jobs are advertised on LinkedIn. So you can use different other tools, and one of the good ones is Google. Why? Google does index the big old internet, and they have this pretty neat feature called Google Jobs, where you can go up and basically use Google to search for your next job and search for jobs posted across all sort of different job portals. How to do that, what are the nitty-gritty details, go on that URL over there and you'll be able to learn it yourself. And in addition to that, you can also use Google and some of the more googly operators, such as the cite in URL, in title operators, where you can tell Google to search for specifically keywords in those places. Like, for example, the cite operator, when you type that in, you tell Google that show me results for my keywords that are coming from this site specifically. The in URL operator, you tell Google, like, show me results of pages where the URL has this specific keyword, right? Like, let's say career pages will usually have some variation of career, careers, jobs, you name it, in the URL. So you can tell Google that, like, hey, give me results of, and here is an example in the bottom, recruiter or sourcer in the title of the page, in pages where the URL had these certain keywords. And the list goes on and on and on and on. And in the additional resources, I'll put in a 30-minute training video that I found that explains how to become a master of Google searching. It will be really, really valuable for you guys to go through that. And here is the example that I just mentioned, right? You're looking for in title, recruiter, sourcer. When we say title, Google says that it's this part, like the title of the page. And in URL is this part, right? Like, you can see that the URL has the word jobs, matching, and the title has the word, like in this case, sourcer over there. Of course, when you start to do searches like this, you start to run into different, like, false positives, you run into templates and stuff like that. No worries. You learned about the not operator a couple of slides ago. Just start to use those and just modify your search and put in to the end of your search, like, not template, not example. Just scroll through your results, see the patterns, and rule out the false positives. So as I was mentioning, yeah, here is the URL to where to search for Google Jobs, and in the additional resources, I'll also have the video that I just mentioned. One thing that I want to highlight over here is that, unfortunately, layoffs impact people on visas more harshly. Why? If you are, for example, on an H1B visa and you lose your job, you have 60 days to pack up. If you cannot or find a new job, right? Because if you cannot find a new job that is the same or similar that granted you your visa, usually in the same or similar location, even the same or similar pay grade, you and every dependent on your visa will be deported. That's hard. That's sad reality that a lot of people just are not aware of. So if you are unfortunately impacted like that, you need to find jobs that can sponsor your visa. And I know that is enormously tough, especially in today's times. How can you do that? Well, one is Google, right? When you're searching for jobs, add in the additional keywords of like, we sponsor visas, we accept visa candidates, we accept H1B candidates. Like, look up what is the language on job posts that do sponsor visas, and search for that specific language in your keyword searches, in addition to the jobs that you're looking for and the skills that you're looking for. Another way to do this is how to find out who sponsor visas, which companies and where and for what roles, is to look at historical data. Will historical data guarantee that they will sponsor a visa now? No, but will you have a higher chance that if you start looking at the career pages of those companies that you run into roles that can sponsor visas? Yes. How can you do that? As I was mentioning, historical data. There are a bunch of sites that gather H1B data that is publicly available. USCIS needs to publish it. One of them is h1bdata.info. If you go up on h1bdata.info, you can run a search like this. You can search for just an employer and see what sort of roles were sponsored at that employer. Or you can search for a job title and see which employer sponsored those sort of titles. So while this is not a perfect way for finding employers and jobs that can sponsor your visa if you unfortunately lost your job, but it could be a good starting point. Alerts, alert. You can run a lot of searches, but you're just a human. You cannot run the same search over and over and over again, especially if you are trying different searches every day. But if you ran into a site that had relevant results to you, in that case, try to set up an alert for that page or for that website or for that job board. You can do this in different ways. One, of course, LinkedIn is fairly easy. This is just a screenshot of the previous examples. You can see that for any job search over here, when you look at the results page, there is this set alert button over here. When a new matching page comes up, matching your search terms, you'll get alerted. You can set it up to get alerted in an email, if I know it correctly, but definitely in the notifications. Same is true with like job portals, right? Like if you go up on like Indeed, Monster, you name it, search for notification options, see how can you get notified, and see what emails addresses is that notification coming from, and set up even like different folders in your inbox so they don't get lost and stuff like that. And if you run into a page that does not have this functionality, you can always still use Google Alerts. What Google Alerts does is that for the search that you ran, like let's say you ran into a job board that is on a specific website, and you want to get alerted when a job matching your title comes up. You can run a search for that using, for example, the site operator to be specific, searching on that site specifically. And after that, you put in your keywords, let's say site, example job.board.com, product manager. Anytime there is a new page, a new matching result on that side matching the word product manager, you'll get emailed. Use that functionality. It's extremely powerful. How to do it? Follow that URL over there. It walks you through. Also, YouTube University is always there, right? Like just search for it on YouTube, how to set up Google Alerts, and there will be dozens of results walking you through. And this is my last one, and it's 2023, and since December 2022, we almost can't talk about any topic without talking about ChatGPT. So how can you use this? But before we talk about how, a couple of caveats. ChatGPT is not general AI. It's not a do-it-all solution that gives you perfect and good results every time. It's not that. If you have that expectation from it, you will fail. using ChatGPT. It is a language model that basically predicts what is the next word. I'm overly simplifying over here, but it's predicting what is the next word, letter, character over here in this text that makes the most sense. That's what it's doing. It's not, that's why you see like how much is 2 + 2? It's 4. No, it's 5. Okay, it's 5 then, because it's not a calculator. It is, hey, if you're telling me it's a conversational language model and it thinks that in this conversation, that is the logical next word or sentence, that is what you will get. So it is a tool. The human touch is needed. You need to be there to validate the results. So use it as a tool and do not expect always correct facts over here. But to be more successful with it, one of the tricks that you can do is to use very, very specific prompts. Okay, like you need to be very, very, very crisp with what you want it to give to you, and get creative. Go play around with it. Get really, really, really creative. Like you can't break it, so experiment, play around with it. You can search for stuff as like alternative titles. Here is an example. I made a screenshot yesterday evening. I'm a sales development representative looking for a new job. What title should I look for when searching for jobs to apply to give me alternatives to and synonyms of my current titles? Here you are. Those are all the things that you can search for as titles on LinkedIn, on Google, job boards, you name it. Alternative jobs. I got laid off from my last job where I was a top performance sales rep at a SaaS company selling bookkeeping solutions to SMBs. With that background, what other jobs should I consider next? A different take on this is that you get specific, right? Like you put in the exact technologies, tools, methods, certifications, you name it, whatever you have experience with, you tell it like, this is what I know. What can I do with this background? What else, right? Here are some examples. Sales reps, business dev reps, account executives. You can be a sales manager, marketing manager, consultant, right? But again, be creative. You want to switch careers outside of sales and marketing, ask it, see what are the options. I'm not saying that the options that it will give you will be correct, but they could be a starting point. They can be food for thought for you that you can consider and start different searches for it. Here are a couple of examples to that question. Answers to that question. Project management. You can go into the fields of operation, the customer service. This is the answer to the question of the sales rep at a bookkeeping SaaS, right? Business analyst, consulting, product management, entrepreneurship, human resource, and it even gives you an explanation why. What else can you do over here? Well, create search strings. If you don't know how to create a search string, like ask for it. Will it be correct all the time? No. There will be errors sometimes in it. But again, there are starting points. There are things that you can start to experiment with. And by the way, the majority of the time, a lot of those searches will be correct. Here is the example, just following up that, like, what sort of titles do I need? I just ask it, put it into an or statement. There it is. Just copy and paste and run it. You want to run it on Google to search for specifically those sort of jobs, but you want to search LinkedIn through Google and you don't know how to do it. There you are. Site linkedin.com/jobs in text operators. It gives you everything. Go and run that on Google and you'll have results of job pages on Google matching the keywords that you put into. You can even create like a site agnostic version. You remember when I said like in the URL needs to have the title. In the URL, it needs to have either like careers or jobs, or the title of the page needs to match a keyword. Here's an example. You just need to ask ChatGPT to give you one. The options are almost limitless, right? Like if you don't know how to use ChatGPT as a job seeker, let's ask it, right? Give me, this is the prompt that I gave it yesterday. Give me creative and unusual tips. Here it is. Create personalized cover letters. Research industries, practice interviewing, create networking scripts, create a resume summary. You put in where you worked at what, and you ask it to summarize your experience in 2 sentences. There you are. Generate a portfolio, right? Same thing goes with like a LinkedIn profile summary. Generate a list of companies. Do not forget, ChatGPT's data cuts off at 2021, so it won't necessarily be the most up to date, but you can ask it, create a long or statement of the top 50 companies in X location in Y industry, and it will give you some results. And you can also ask it to, expand on one of the points. The third point over here that I asked is, where is it? Use ChatGPT to practice interviewing. Give me a prompt template that I can use for the third point. That was the interview. Here it is. It gave you how to ask that. Like, what is the prompt that you need to use to get that sort of output from it? And if you run that, here is specifically a prompt that I'm running. I'm applying for this position at this company. This is my background. Previously, I worked on this. Get specific. Please generate 5-10 sample interview questions that I might be asked for in this position and provide me with sample answers. There you are. Will this be the questions that you get? Probably no. Will it be a good way to prep? Probably yes. And it goes on and on and on and on. So you can even ask for different examples all the time. So yeah, get very, very creative and use all the tools that you have. And we are coming up to time, and I surprisingly finished almost on time. Last thing that I want to share with you is a bunch of additional resources. I won't open these up. It's a huge list. I advise you to visit each page after you get the slides and the recording. For example, basic Boolean operators explained by Glenn Caddy, blog post from 2008. It's one of the best posts and simplest posts out there explaining this. Google like a pro. Here is the YouTube clip that I mentioned. 30 minutes. You can learn how to use Google like a pro. Jan is an expert recruiter, and he is also an expert in helping job seekers. Here is a job search guide that he created that is covering all the other things outside of the how to search the internet, right? I highly suggest visiting that. Clara also created a post that gathered all sorts of results. Amy Miller has a job seeker survivor guide, YouTube playlist going through all sorts of things, starting from searching, talking with hiring managers, salary negotiation. A bunch of job boards like who's hiring, levels.fyi just came up with this still hiring list. It's one of the most exhaustive lists out there that I've seen so far. But also there are a bunch of other posts out there listing different job boards. All these, by the way, I found on LinkedIn. I searched for posts. Show me posts with the keyword remote, job boards, roles, and stuff like that, right? So use that ability that you now have and use these lists as well. There are remote companies, remote job boards. Here is a list for L&D professionals. Lars Smith has an amazing job board for HR and TA leadership people. Jerry Crispin, the one and only Jerry Crispin at Career X Roads, has a job board specifically for recruiters. Gergely Orosz, pragmatic engineer job board is amazing. You'll only find high quality companies over there. Brianna's job board is a very extensive list as well. There is a huge who's hiring Google list over here. If you want to get into climate tech, for example, there are, I think, around like 500 companies over here. Startups just go up on Angel is now rebranded to WellFound. Different job boards over here for startups by Laura Thompson is also a very, very good resource. So search, and never give up. Thank you. Please connect with me if you'd like to, and you can also get in touch with me at email me at adamkovacs.com. thank you for your attention. Any questions, and I'll invite all the co-hosts and the group of volunteers to come on camera. Please, to all participants, say thank you to them as well. I much appreciate your help with this. Any questions that you guys seen in the comments that you would like to discuss? Any new last questions? We can stay on for another like 5-10 minutes if anyone wants to hang out. So yeah, let me know. Logan, Clara, Todd, anything to highlight? You're on mute.
I haven't seen anything.
Yeah. I think everyone's just trying to take in everything that you've shared, and Adam, a lot of really, really good information. I will not be surprised if you get a lot of emails or messages over the weekend, or once people have received it, a recording of this, and they go back and they start really using it. To everyone else on this call, please feel free to reach out to any of us. We are here to help. Any questions that you have, feel free to send, to share this resource with your friends also who are looking for jobs, and just, share it out in the community.
Awesome. Well, we are 2 minutes before ending this. Again, thank you very much. Hope this is helpful. I really hope you can utilize all this to find your next job. And please, let me know. Let me know if you're successful. Let us know. Let all the people that you connected with today that, something good happened with you. And yeah, stick together and moving on forward. This will end and we'll get out into a better place. Everything's cyclical. Well, thank you. And goodbye. Have a great rest of your Friday and an awesome weekend. The recordings and the slides will land in your inbox in the next couple of days. Thank you again and happy job hunting. Goodbye.